They make the trek out to Burning Man for a week and a day. After a lot of work, oh, there's a lot of play. Party, 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 drama, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. Year after year, they come back to scratch that itch. They all say their lives have been changed. After many years, lives have been rearranged. That change is what this show is all about. You'll see the impact of Burning Man up and out. So sit back, relax, and cancel all your plans. These are the stories about the shadow of the man.
Hello, and welcome to the Shadow of the Man. I'm your host, Andy. Oh, ho, ho, that Andy. Today, our guest is Playa Pete. Hey there, Pete. How you doing?
Well, hey, that Andy. How are you? Any better? Good to you.
So, I definitely have some listeners who never been to Burning Man or maybe some new burners. So, what would you say, in a 20, 30-second description of who Playa Pete is and what your Burning Man experience is?
Well, this will be my 30th year in a row.
In a row.
In a row, yeah.
Wow.
And a long time ago, I came up with my moniker, that is Playa Pete. I am the baddest man in Black Rock. So bad I got to kick my own ass twice daily. And that's just to stay in shape. As in beach and Pete as in moss, because I kind of grow on you after a while. Yeah, so that's what I usually say to the new people. Unfortunately, the old people, OGs like my friends, go, if I fucking hear that one more time.
Oh, yeah. So your first year was it 95?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I had a t-shirt company called friends of mine, five of us, called Stinkfish Actionwear. And we were way ahead of our time. And I'll never forget the day this gentleman walks into my office, and I swear it was the man with the yellow hat from Curious George minus the monkey. It just stood out, aura around him. Anyways, he said, some friends of his are doing the Beta Breakers, popular running event here in San Francisco. And I've been used to making the shirts all for years. And he says, oh, no, we're not like that. We dress as giant salmon. And then we pop out from the alley in the middle of the street when that 50,000 group of runners come down, and then we just bob up and down like we're spawning salmon. And I go, fuck, that's the best one yet. Anyways, I come back later, and he orders a dozen shirts for his wacky little event in the desert, and he leaves me a VHS tape, says, you seem like you have an open mind. And I didn't even own a VHS player yet. So it sat at my desk for a couple of weeks. And then finally I got one. I brought it home and I watched it. And the editing was as if it was done now. I mean, it was just bing, 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 just shots of Burning Man. But I had never seen anything like that. And so I talked to my wife, who I'd been married to at 15 years at that time. And I go, hey, what do you think we should go? And I called him up and said, yeah, I'd like to go. And he goes, all right, I'm going to leave you your tickets behind Bruno's bar next to the radio tower under a rock. And that's where he left those tickets for 10 years. So anyway, we go, and I drive that 7-8 hours. I read the survival guide to the T. I probably overdid it, too much rebar, too much. and then I took a bunch of blinky lights, highway lights from the city of Fairfax yard. And they didn't have LED lights. Flashlights were, luxury items. So anyway, I go, and I arrive out in the desert, and a guy in a silver trailer, half naked, gives me, I believe it's Naked Bob, gives me the directions. I need you to go about 5 miles this way, heading out north, and then you got to veer left a little bit. If you go straight, you're going to get bogged down, and you're not getting taken out for another week. So pay attention. So as you go to the left, and I want you to go about 10 miles that way. And so I'm doing 90 miles an hour, cruising along, and I finally see the blue light in the background. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And as I get closer, I'm doing 90 miles an hour, and all of a sudden this tent goes by, and then vehicles, and I'm like, whoa, it's got to slow down a tad. And as we get closer, center camp was 50 feet or something. It was tiny, and there was a big fire, basically center camp, and few people around it. And I'll never forget it, Andy. I'd been driving 10 hours. My hands are wet on the wheel. I'm just tired. And I look out, and I see this half man, half horse centaur. You know what a centaur is?
Yeah, yeah.
It's fucking a centaur, dude, in the middle of nowhere. And it's looking right at me with this blazing fire in the background, and it's just piercing eyes and its big tall finger, and it's just going, come to me. And I look at, what the fuck? I go, I'm sorry, honey. I made a major error. This is some sort of pagan ritual. We're out of here. We'll just head out into the desert, camp overnight, and then we're going to Yosemite in the morning, man. Fuck this. So we blaze out and camp about a mile away, and then like all nightmares that you have, you wake up in the morning, you go, that wasn't a nightmare, shit. So I got on my bike, I rode into town. Within 10 minutes, I got a Bloody Mary, I got bacon and egg breakfast. I come back, I tell my wife, I go, I don't know, I think it's just this fun Halloween party. And then here's the ending of the story. All of a sudden, this plane is flying around, this little Piper 150, and it lands, and it comes right up to my truck, my tent. And this girl, maybe 5'2", jumps out, folded bike, unfolds it, asks me to help her cover her plane, ties it down, and rides off with her backpack, says, can you keep an eye on my plane for the next 5 days? So I'm sitting there looking at the plane going, what do you think, honey? And within 3 hours, 2 more planes show up. And ever since then, I think Playa Pete invented airport.
Wow.
One of these days, I'm going to airport and actually going to tell that fucking story at the bar.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll get a drink.
Yeah, don't even get me started on all the stupid stories that I have.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. So anyway, so let's start in the beginning. Like who is Playa Pete? Where'd you grow up? Like where does the story begin?
I was born in Vancouver, British Columbia. My parents are from
Huh.
Berlin, Germany. They immigrated in 1958. They didn't speak any English. They had $5 in their pocket. And I was born, like I said, in Vancouver, and stayed there for a couple of years. My dad was working for the railroad, building tunnels. They used the German immigrants for that strong work. And then he had a friend that was a Volkswagen mechanic. First time Volkswagens ever came into America, and was in Marin County. And so they moved us down to Marin County. And that's when Marin was just magical back then. In 1962, and I stayed there till probably I was about 10. Parents got divorced. I moved to Reno and lived there for about 5 years, introduced to the Black Rock Desert because we hunted there, and Gerlach and Bruno's, and
Oh, so you knew the whole area way before that.
I don't want to say I knew the whole area. It was verboten, man. That was insane. Everybody that I know would go, why would you, that's death. Why would you go out there and throw a party? They still haven't gotten that. But no, at some point you'll have to At some point, you'll have to remind me of the story of the snipers that were up in the mountains that were going to shoot the Burning Man participants. Yeah,
I'll
I,
write a note. We'll get back to that.
yeah. My brother called me up and said, "You can't go this year. You can't go."
Yeah. I don't know. I remember there was one year there was some like weird dude. He was like all it was almost like a ghillie suit or whatever. And I remember he was like kind of just crawling around. He had I don't know if it was an actual gun or something that had like a laser and he would kind of crawl underneath cars and on top of things. And I remember just kind of seeing him there, like we walked past and I just kind of like looked down and was like, hey dude, I could totally see you, you know, and it's just like move along, move along. Yeah.
Yeah, we got some weird ones up there. I've always said it's the island of misfit toys. That's why I've been so.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like kind of narcotics Olympics to some people too, you know. But yeah, so you grew up in, like Vancouver, Marin, Reno, and that's what like 60s, 70s, and then so
Then
was
I
it
actually moved up to Seattle for my last few years. Graduated from Issaquah and messed around a little bit, and then I decided to go in the Air Force, and I was a fireman in the Air Force.
ah
Yeah,
I didn't
that,
know
that,
you were in the Air Force, huh?
that's a whole nother story. Let's just say they kindly asked me to leave after 3 years, 2 months, and yeah, that's a whole nother story. That should be a movie. Anyway,
Hey, what
um,
years was that when we were in the Air
uh,
Force?
that was 1980 to 83.
Yeah.
And so then I moved back down to Marin. I spent some time traveling, and I just found that that was the always my fondest memories. And I had a fair amount of friends here. I'd come every year for the summer, and so I moved back down and started working the trades, doing carpentry, and then one day, I somebody asked me to do some photo shoots, and next thing you know, I'm want to be a wannabe model. uh, did that for about 5 years, San Francisco, and
Really?
yeah, did
I didn't
Europe.
know that.
Spent about 3 months living in Europe, and shit, I just saw this the other day.
Wow, you're like
My,
a Zoolander.
yeah, my exactly. My agent owned this agency called Next, and I believe his name was Juan Carlo. Him and his twin brother owned it, and trippy fellas. But all of a sudden, I'm sitting there watching on TV the other day, and I see him in Epstein's fucking plane being massaged by Ghislaine Maxwell, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what explains these jaunts these guys were taking early on.
Ah.
I never got to go. Yeah.
You see, if you had played your cards right, you could have been on that same jet there.
Yeah, the some of the boys ended up going to the Elton John concerts over in London, but I never. I actually went to Biarritz and surfed for the weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I got out of the military, moved to San Francisco again, and started that up. And through the process of working there, I met a group of guys, and they had started that t-shirt company. And once that t-shirt company got going along pretty good, we were busting it, and that's when Michael Mikel came into my office dressed like the man with the yellow hat, and he honestly, to this day, he changed my life that day.
Oh
And
yeah, oh yeah.
absolutely, I with through that. Now that I've come past all this time and all these things that have
Well, it's
happened.
essentially what this show's all about. You know, it's like yeah, like the change of Burning Man, like what happened. You know, so yeah, so for the viewers or listeners at home, Michael Michael is also known, aka Danger Ranger, one of the original, I guess you'd say, one of the founders of Burning Man.
Yep,
Yeah.
Cacophony Society, Mary Prankster from the beginning. Ah, the stories.
Did
He's
you ever like do any of the cacophonies and stuff like in San Francisco? Like any of the like the
no, I
I
should have though. That's right up my alley.
yeah. There's some stuff like before I moved there that would look fun. Like they would have these parties and like those old like bunkers and and places like that. And I remember like doing some like these like weird scavenger hunts and stuff like
Yeah.
all over the city and these crazy parties like in like China Basin or like in Oakland.
SantaCon.
I never actually did the SantaCon, but okay, so this episode is going to be coming out later in the year. I mean, it's not exactly my official holiday episode, but do you have any you did some SantaCon stuff, right?
Yeah, I have, but it they were the ones that started, and it was a lot funner then. Now, if shit, I think every city in the dang country does a
Well,
SantaCon.
why don't you explain for our listeners what SantaCon is? I guess they don't know.
Well, a bunch of people would dress up as Santa Claus and then just get together and go bar hopping. And then it got to be a lot more and more. And pretty soon they were taking over buses and going into Macy's. And yeah, they were, fairly
Daryl?
uh, eerie, let's say. And a lot of skin was being shown. And it was a fun time. But you can see how easily that would catch on. And then before you know it, every pub crawl is a Santa Con during the holidays.
And this is just during the holidays, right?
Yeah, it was just for Christmas. It was just Christmas, SantaCon.
Ah. So yeah, so you first went in 95, and then I guess the bug bit you and you came back. I mean, did you have the same thing that everyone gets? You come back and you're just kind of like, evangelizing around, like, oh my God, Bernie man, you got to come with me.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it because within 2 weeks of getting back and settled in and somewhat decompressed, I to this day when somebody comes with me and goes back and says, "Oh gosh, that was great, thanks," I go, "Yeah, just wait till the dreams start." And they're like, "Dreams?" And I go, "Yeah, give it about 2 weeks, a month." All of a sudden, you start going to bed at night and you think about going back and how can I make camp better for everybody? And it just goes, and to this day, that's pretty much how I fucking go to bed at night. I dream about Burning Man and gosh, what will I like to do better this year?
Or do you ever have like not quite the dream, but more the nightmare? It's like you wake up and all of a sudden it's like you're at Burning Man. You're like, oh wait, what? I'm here? Like I didn't pack anything.
Yeah,
It's-
actually, my story for that is the way that I've gotten involved with Burning Man is I printed all the garments for the org for years, DPW, Gay Rangers, and a lot of that was had to be done within like 6 weeks pre-event. So I would work 24/7 for 6 weeks before that event, and it'd be 2, 3 in the morning. Sweat is rolling down my forehead into my eyes. It's stinging. And I'm listening to my favorite band, which is the Merman Surf Band, local San Francisco band. Also happened to be what I'll call the house band for Burning Man early on.
They actually stayed at my house a number of years ago. They
No
came out here to,
way.
yeah, they came out here to Hawaii. I haven't talked to those guys in a long time. But anyway,
Still rocking it, dude. They're
yeah.
still fucking killing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what my I lost my train of
No,
thought.
you were working late, sweating, listening to the
Oh,
Mermen.
so listen to the Merman, and I would close my eyes, Andy, and I would imagine myself up at the playa at Kaysvert Radio on Esplanade watching the Merman. And then I go, all right, I'm watching them. And now I'm going to close my eyes because I want to picture myself back at the printing press so that when I do that and I'm actually at Burning Man, it'll be 10 times better. So
Yeah, so how many years did you do that? Make all you did well, like t-shirts, hats, like all sorts of
I
printing
did
stuff
all
for them.
their stuff for a better part of 20 years. I still do a lot of this stuff, but as the event got bigger and there were more people, it'd be like, since I know you go, hey, I want you to do all the shirts for our camp. The next thing you know, you got regionals, you got Maui and all the other islands, and they have all their own people. And before you
Mm,
know it, it's just this giant family. But I don't get to do all of them anymore. I don't think I could because it's so much work, especially right at the last minute. How do you know what the size of your volunteer is 2 months ahead of time? You don't. So you have to, get your information at the last. And I'm literally driving. Sometimes I'm driving to the event 2, 3 times free just to make sure the stuff gets there in time. And
wow.
save UPS because that's a fortune. And I don't mind visiting the desert a few times.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine that over the years the sizes probably have increased.
Yeah, yeah, tenfold every year. This year it was a lot less. I kind of liked it.
No, I meant like the sizes as in like, instead of like small, medium, large, it's more like medium, large,
Oh,
extra large, and then like large, extra large, double XL.
you're referring to t-shirt sizes?
Yeah.
All the way up to 6XL. You try to the long sleeve 100% cotton dress shirt for a Ranger that's 6XL. And it sure the fuck better not be polyester because those will self emoliate out in the fucking playa. Trust me, I know I had to take 10 grand of them back because they were polyester.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not a good one. I had a huge giant falling out.
Oh no.
Yeah, one spark lands on a ranger on burn night. They can't pat it out. They will actually catch fire. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah,
Wow. Well, no, a lot of rules these days, they didn't used to be way back then.
yeah.
I remember actually like last episode had Coyote on, and I remember I probably told you this story, but like it was just a joke. It would never actually do and make sure people knew it was a joke. Like coming doing like a Playa OSHA and then going around and putting like a large like violation sticker on like DPW like windshields. Like and then like running away. But then it's funny because Coyote's like, no, that's actually I mean, without the putting the sticker on the windshield, so he's just like, no, I am like the OSHA like supervisor for Burning Man. I was like, oh wow, I guess that's what we're
Yeah.
doing nowadays.
I've had a love hate relationship with DPW since day one. There's always pranks played back and forth, and they
Less
won.
love and more love, yeah.
Yeah, they won the last one, and then the one that I wanted to do was completely shut down by captain of the ship, the Monaco, as well as Cobra Commander Logan. He said, "You're fucking insane. They'll kill you for that one." Want to hear?
Sure.
So I was always invited to go on to the Thursday parade, DPW parade, when they get all the trucks and all DPW gets to close the town down, and this giant python of trucks and DPW slowly meanders through, and everybody's going, "Hey, Aldo, thank you," and they're all going, "Fuck you." No, anyways, so
It's Burning Man.
I go to the parade and I show up in all my pink fur outfit, and that's not what they're into. And they just fucking hated me. So I got on the back of the truck to get on the parade, and everybody got off. So it's funny to go to this because Coyote and Logan, and I know some Will and other upper people, so I'm talking to them. But the minute they turn their back, I'm like at the King's Castle, and the Dobermans are like, "Rawr!" So anyway, it's been this love hate relationship. We drive the ship by their parade sometimes, and then we'll shoot them with water and with from the cannon that we have. And then one year they fucking came into the Playa Pete Plaza and they dropped off one of their shitty ass vehicles and played nothing but classical music for 3 days. It drove the camp crazy. People were going to smash the windows. And I go, "You fucking touch that car, you're dead. Don't even mess with it. They'll come and get it when they're good and ready." So
Wow.
I decided to come up with the king of all pranks. Since I make all their shirts for the parade, they have about 50 red shirts that they give the key people. These are earned positions. These are trusted DPW. people, they're going to close the roads while the parade is going on. It's an honored position. You get a red shirt, you're somebody. So I made an extra one. I was going to put one of my guys in it. We were going to put him up on the rigging of the ship about 20 feet hanging from there. And then I was going to pull a big bullwhip out and pretend I'm beating him as we're driving by.
Oh,
Yeah,
woo.
that would have not gone over too well. So yeah, they won with the car. Oh, and then I'll end it with this. So my hat and my shirts, I always wear DPW stuff. And whenever they catch me, if there's a DPW guy that catches me walking around and, hey, I don't quite recognize you, they get the shirt off my back or the hat.
Oh, wow, really?
And I've done it a bunch of times. I'm like, I'm just I'm a poser. you,
Just give it to
you have every right to take the shirt off my back.
him. So yeah, so for the listeners who don't know, explain what the Monaco is.
The Monaco is a 18th century naval frigate. Captain Greg Barron came up with after we had been cruising around and we saw the La Contessa. Remember the La Contessa? One of the most beautiful ships ever. It was a pirate ship, and it literally had the cannons had gone through the sails, and it just looked beautiful. But it only ran for a day, and I think maybe one of the reasons was it had not enough, too many chiefs and not enough Indians, and you can't have that. The Monaco, it has one chief, one captain, and that's Captain Greg Barron. And I made a rule a long time ago at Playa Pete's Plaza. I have three rules: no meth, no drama. The captain's always right. That's pretty simple. Did I have murder in there anywhere? No.
Well, I'm pretty sure you can do at least two of those. The middle one, then the drama, I'm like,
So
that's aspirational.
The Monaco was designed off 19, I believe, 1983 Monaco chassis. Greg picked it out on purpose because it was able to take a heavy payload. And once we
What's
completely
up, Monaco? Is it a bus or?
no, Monaco is I believe it's a GMC RV, and
Ah,
dual axle can take a lot of weight. And once we stripped everything off it and just left the chassis itself, we redesigned, or Greg designed, this 18th century naval frigate. By the way, we kept the bathroom on it, the privy, because we always, our previous art car, one of the issues was the girls always had to go to the bathroom. So as soon as you start cruising, one of them goes, I got to go to the bathroom. You're like, we just went. So we have a woman's privy on board, and so yeah, it took 6 7 months. Tons of people helped, and he brought that up, and we were able to sail it out in the desert. And that's probably one of the neatest things of all. I
you
remember
actually sailed it? Like you
yeah,
caught wind and it just pushed you along.
Andy. I remember clearly saying to Greg, what do you mean we're going to sail? I just want to look cool at 3 o'clock in the morning. He goes, no, gotta sail. So he did it. It is almost to scale, and it is a sailing vessel. And we are able to take it out. You can't sail inside the perimeter because of too many people would come running up. And
Yeah.
and we can't control it. So they let us go outside of the perimeter, we go out airport, and then we go 10 miles out into the desert, into the playa. And that's where we
Wow.
sail. And there's nothing better than sitting there, putting it in neutral, turning off the music, letting the wind fill the sails, and feel that giant motorhome list to the side and start moving. So as far as me looking cool in 3 o'clock in the morning, fuck that. That is worth it right there. Sailing in the middle of the desert just with a few people.
And like Contessa, I think that was like a school bus that was it was
Yeah,
like built like around, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that like didn't that it burn down or something?
They left it up there. I believe it became a art piece. It was on some property, which was, I guess, with a sympathetic owner. That property was sold, and the new person didn't like it and immediately went out there and burned it down. I guess they shot it up. They did take the masthead off, and I believe that's the only thing that survived. But I believe they got in trouble for it because it was declared a art piece by the state of Nevada. I
Oh,
could,
really?
yeah,
Wow. Oh, I'm sure. Well, you got a lot of stories. You say 30 years it's going to be this next year?
yeah. This will be it.
Yeah.
This will be it. Final one.
What do you mean, final one? Is something you have to tell me about?
It seems like all my friends go, you say that every year, and I do. I go, oh gosh, it was so much work, just working with the org. Not that it's difficult, but getting all the shirts in line and trying to set up camp and making it all happen. It's I'm burnt out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 30 years in a row. I mean, not many people do that. I mean, especially not many people who like don't not staff like working for the man. I mean, you
last
work like
few,
with them. Or
last few years, I it's there's the vibe isn't the same. There is I don't want to say a disrespect towards the OGs that made it happen, that spent all their hard-earned money, time, and effort for us, and now people are expecting them to do that, and money's so much of an issue, and people are getting paid. Well, shit. If I threw a party for 10 years out of pocket, and then all of a sudden it became a huge success and I was able to make some money out of it, I think I'd bend the rules a little bit. I'd be fine for it. I have no problem with those people making money. And so, yeah, I'm all right with that part.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting that the current monetary problems that the man has is that. I mean, I'm probably not gonna go into all of that, but like anything, Burning Man is. It's probably what, like almost like 40 years like old. I mean, the
Yeah,
first burn was like what 86 at when Larry and Jerry James like built their first burned their first man in Baker Beach, right?
right, right.
Yeah. But like I was like talking to Coyote and I was like, yeah, like how old were you when you did this? How old are you now? Like, like how many years have you been doing this? And I was like, that's like over half your life. And he was just like, oh yeah.
Now, I mentioned the vibe, and every year I'm just as giddy as the virgin that goes. I enjoy bringing a new person because I'm like Dracula. I suck the fucking blood enthusiasm of taking this person to a candy store. They've never smelled candy before. I don't eat any of the candy. I can't stand it, but I love bringing a person to a candy store that's never seen them. And that kind of feeling has lost. Now I think the cell phone fucking ruined it. When we went early on,
Yeah.
you went for a week and you had no idea what happened on the outside of the world. And frankly, you didn't really care.
Yep. Yep.
And now you have cell phones everywhere, and you got Instagram models coming up to art pieces and taking pictures and then posting that for their own benefit and never
Mhm.
even taking the care to talk to the artist that spent months and his own money to bring it up there for you to see for a week. And you
Mhm.
don't even care to, introduce yourself. This vibe is a little different. Yeah, there's a lot of drugs there. There's a lot of people that are going just to get high, but that's not what it's about. And
Yeah.
so I decided to do something actually a little different this year, Andy. And I don't know if I should tell you. I think I'm going to. Want to hear it?
Yeah, so I mentioned something about this. So, like I don't know.
So,
What so after
Playa
30
Pete,
years of going, you'd always go with like a group of people or like, be like almost like a little like village kind of with
it's
family
called,
and friends. It's like now what are you gonna do?
it's about 150 people. It's called Playa Pete's Plaza. I did not name it that way. Greg named it, Captain named it all those years ago because of, as he said, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So I figured if we named it after you, we get better placement since everybody knows you. And if something bad was going to happen, you get all the credit. Well, that completely backfired. To this day, a lot of people think I'm the captain of the ship. I don't think the captain likes that too much. And I point out quite regularly I am not the captain. I am the head cabin boy and official spokesmodel. But I decided that I'm going to break away from the camp and I'm going to go over completely the other side. I've never stayed over 2, 3 o'clock area and
Ah.
put myself solo. I'm going all by myself. All my friends will be there in their camps, and I'll go visit them. But I'm going to set up by myself, and I'm going to introduce myself to my neighbors as, "Hey, how's it going? Pete Alexander, first time burner. So, how's this work?" And then I'm going to journal my meetings. I'm going to do short videos with neighbors, and I'm going to ask them 3 questions. The first one is, what was it? What's your playa name and where you're from? And they'll tell me, and then I'll say, how many years have you been coming? It doesn't matter, 0 to 25, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
The last question is going to matter, and that is, who is Larry Harvey?
What, you don't think everyone's gonna get that?
I fucking asked that question to so many people,
Really?
and I can't tell you. I would say this year, 70% of the random people I asked had no idea. How's that possible? No clue. I'm like, you're kidding me right now. No, no. Oh, look, blinky lights.
Well, what like how what else do they not know? I mean, I'm sure everyone like must know like the whole like the 10 principles, even if they don't couldn't like,
No,
like
no
rattle them
clue.
off. Would you be
No,
like, oh, 10 principles? They'd be like, oh, what's that?
granted, you go around, you get a lot of people, but I was surprised on how many times I'd asked that simple question, "Hey, who's Larry Harvey?" And they had no clue whatsoever. I'd be amazed right now with your listeners when you asking that question. They're going, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Who's this Larry Harvey kid? Like, yeah, well, but my very episode number one, I kind of gave it like a basic kind of introduction to like to Burning Man and talked about Larry Harvey, the man who started it all, like him and Jerry James, was it a summer solstice? It was like in the summertime, right? It was like what, June or something like that, right? Originally. Yeah. So he built I think together with like his kid or something like that, and like other kids, that they made this little like this rudimentary wooden man and hauled it down the cliff or whatever to Baker Beach, and then
I
remember.
actually, I actually heard this year the real story
Oh
by,
yeah,
from legendary Flash, his Johnny Carson show.
yeah.
Sitting there watching it live, and somebody asked the question, 2 real interesting questions. And the co-host, I forget what his name was. It was amazing. First off, Lake Lahontan, where the playa is,
Yeah.
when it rains, it will soak up all that water, and about 8 feet underneath that hard playa surface is the lake. It's all mud. If the lake gets more water than it can take, it'll suck an RV down. Did you know that? Yeah.
Like old fashioned Gilligan Island, like
Ex-
quicksand, like is
Quicksand. Exactly.
really?
If there's enough rain on there, it'll sink. It'll suck right in. And then the other interesting one
It's probably a
was,
lot of rain.
yeah, the other interesting one was about the man itself. When they actually had it, it was designed after the woman that was, I believe, his significant other.
It was the
But they were,
romantic interest at the time. Yeah.
and they got around, they started talking about it, and they couldn't fathom calling it Burning Woman. And so they changed it to Burning Man, but it was always a woman.
Really?
A lot of people don't know that. I found that out for the first time this year. It blew me away.
Really? That's quite interesting. Because okay, because wasn't I mean, I guess one of the
Who's going to
stories
go
was
to an
that
event burning woman. That's crazy. I've got, I'll
But
pass.
didn't like Larry like break up with some woman and then he was kind of depressed and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this thing," and because like a catharsis thing, and
Yeah,
had some other friend who is doing this kind of like pagan kind of burning like cleansing ritual thing at the beach. And like, I'm gonna build this like, well, he was always a man, and to but that's funny that it's actually was a
it was a woman. It was to burn.
was it that woman?
Yeah,
Well, that is kind of weird.
was that woman.
Yeah, that would be kind of weird. Like, hey, come on down to the beach. I just broke up with this girl, and I made a wooden representation of her. I'm gonna burn it.
Well, I think it was him and his close friends, and they were all allies and agreed with it. And then various people who happened to be down at the beach said, "Oh, that's cool." And next thing you know, they did it the next year. It got to 60. And when it went to 800 people, the Rangers showed up and said, "Well, you can't going to do that." And they almost went ahead and did it anyway, but they didn't. I think they dismantled it, took it down. And that's when the various members of the Cacophonous Society said, "There's a place up in the desert in outside of Reno." And it went from 800 people down to 60. And those 60 went up there and burnt that man and came back and started it all.
That was 1990, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 1990. Um, yeah, so how has this changed your life? I mean, this has been like how old were you when you first went in 95?
Well, I'm 64 tomorrow.
64 tomorrow.
I'm
30 years
64.
later.
I'm 64 going on 27, occasionally act 14 and often feel 94.
So you must have went like so you've been going to Brady for was 30 years. So you must have been 34, 35 when you first went.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty much, seen and done it all as far as I was concerned. And then this fell into my lap. And like I mentioned before, it changed my life, Andy. It gave me the confidence to break away from Stinkfish and start my own clothing business, screen printing and embroidery. It gave me the confidence to be a husband and a father. Before I was married, I had no interest in having kids, and then it gave me the the confidence to have kids. And my oldest boy goes with me now. With me the last 4 years. Oh
And
no,
you have two boys?
yeah, two boys, Kai and Kenny. I'll get Kai out next year when he turns 21. He's a little more reserved, but the older boy, he's like he's getting half a dozen of his friends to go this year.
Ah. I thought that was both your boys when they came out and saw you, but that was just your one.
No, those were his friends.
Was that their first year, both of them? Or-
One had come the year before, and then the other one that was his first year. And I brought Kenny out his first time in 2001. There was no burn. It was only 2,000 people. And I go, this is a perfect opportunity to get him to feel what it was like for us in the early days. And it was raw. I mean, we rode motorcycles and had beers in our hand, and you never even needed to put on the brake because you just went cruising by art piece. And it was just a blast. And
So that was the 2020, the Renegade burn, right? Or something?
yeah, there was two Renegade burns. The first one I think got to be about 2,000. The second one hit almost 20.
Really?
And yeah, I remember it was COVID. Everything was shut down. People were not going anywhere. And the guy that sets up my camp, Marky Mark, calls me up on the phone. He says, "Where are you?" I go, "What do you mean?" He sends me a fucking picture. It's his entire Playa Pete camp set up in the middle of the desert, and he's all by himself. And I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It's a lie. The town needs us. We got to spend money for Gerlach and Empire. Get your ass up here." So I threw my bike and tent and sleeping bag, and I drove up, and then it just magically started happening. People came, and he throws a hell of a party. So I guess we were like center camp, and it was just magical. And then the next year, it happened again, and just skyrocketed from 2000 to 20. That was the year we burnt the man. everybody got really excited and they said, "Oh, we're going to burn him, man!" And the sheriff and BLM and Rangers all made it quite clear: nobody's burning a goddamn thing. You guys
Mm.
have, you're not going to have a get a hard time. I'll let you have a good time, but nobody's burning anything. There's no fires. So sure enough, you get these hardcore burners that say, "Don't tell me no." And they build the man, and we're watching. It's all half-assed, and they're going to go traipse it off about 2-3 miles, and then they're going to gather around. And word grew, and the next thing you know, everybody's heading off to go burn the man. And so we built a different one. We skedaddled 2 miles in the opposite direction, laid it out on a couple of car hoods, so we didn't have too much fucking move to that, and waited and waited, and then we saw the fucking firelight go up for theirs, and then all the law enforcement
Ah.
and sirens and all was just blazing across the desert over there. And then who was I with Sid from the Shark Car, legendary fucking bad boy. We get
Yeah.
a lighter, and we I fire breathed onto the man, and we set our own version on fire. And then that was lasted about 20 minutes for all those law enforcement came over, and we just sat around and gave them the old, "It was already on fire when we got here."
I don't know who put this here, officer. Wow. Yeah, I mean, 30 years is quite a long time, you know? I mean, I took what, like 11, no, 13 years off or something,
Yeah.
you know? Came back, but I don't know. I mean, I hear this a lot from a lot of people, but like been going a long time and like, oh, it's not like it used to be, whatever. But I think what kind of keeps people coming back is like it's like it's connections, it's family, it's friends. It's like, yeah, there might be things that's not the same, or definitely when things get bigger, everything changes and it's not as intimate. I mean, it gets more bureaucratic. I mean, it's things definitely change. But I think the core, like what's still there, is it's family, it's friends, connections. It's like even if you're gonna be like camping off by yourself, like out in, we're gonna be like what is that? Like you're gonna be like way out in the back where like you're like walk-in camping kind of thing, or like where you're like Danger Ranger used to do.
I'm gonna try to get as close to him as possible, but yeah, he's right up against the orange fence where the tent camping starts, and so there is this little section that runs parallel to the last street that you can park on, and so your backyard is this orange fence,
Yeah.
and I would just enjoy waking up or going to bed in that area and seeing nature, what I used to see all the time when I went. I never cared for living inside the city. I'm a country boy. I can go to the city, I come to San Francisco, but I don't want to fucking live in the Tenderloin.
Yeah, yeah, that's
You
me.
know, I recall our first meeting when we did the pig. Remember the pig? We, we
Like on
drove.
the playa or the one that like at decompression. So we've
We
done a couple picks.
we did more than a couple, but yeah,
Yeah.
the one at decompression for DPW, and we did the one up on the playa, and I believe that was the year that you guys, your whole Hawaiian Kalapina
Kapilina. Yeah, yeah.
was there, and we had this pig that we started at about 4:20 in the morning, and then
Was that the
buttered.
120-pound pig?
Yeah, buttered it up all day long, just brushing it, and then I served it at 4:20 to whoever decided to show up. And I'll never forget. First off, these people came around the corner and were absolutely horrified at what I was doing. Got this big paintbrush. I'm just slopping on this butter onto this thing, and it did look kind of like a human being, over the top, first impression. But if you put two and two together, well, they didn't, and they were just disgusted by the whole process. Anyways,
Did they really think it was a person, or they're just
yeah,
like
at first
vegetarian?
they thought I said, "Well, this is what did I say? This is what you get for this was it was a shirt cocker." caught him on the run. But so we serve up the pig, and everybody was happy. We had a live band. It was awesome. And then
Oh yeah, I
I
remember that.
roar go over the camp, and I go, "What the fuck?" And I go over, and we had taken the pig and put it into a large serving tray. It's probably 4 inches deep, and 4 or 5 feet long, 3 feet wide. And people had just continually gone there, grabbed meat, and then before you know, it's just the skeleton and the head. And this beautiful girl walks in, had pushed the whole fucking carcass over the side, climbed into the vat of bristled pork meat and juice,
Ugh.
rolled around, stood up, and says, "Free licks, everybody." And it was this, bro, I see people get in line. And then
Yeah.
at the end, I tell her, I go, "Man, I got to tell you, you made my party." And she goes, "Oh, you think so?" And I go, "Yeah, that was great." She goes, "Are you going to do it again next year?" And I go, "We sure are." She goes, "Great. I have a sister."
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a Department of Health back then, but
That's when we could cook anything for anybody and you didn't care.
yeah. Well, no, that pig, I remember people were like watching us like all day long. Like you said, it was like 12 hours, whatever. Just like I remember like Jeff with this big umbrella, like in the hot sun, just over this hot fire, this hot sun, But there was like a line of like something like 750 or 1,000 people. Like that
I'm going
pig.
to say 500. Everybody
Ah,
cared. It was awesome.
yeah, no, but that pig went in like 15 minutes. So it's just like poof, you
We
know.
we had quite a bit of food and it was a lot of fun. At the very end, I was completely exhausted. I just had it, so I left and I came back about 1 in the morning, and I see a small group of people around the table where the pig is still left. It's you shouldn't be eating pig that it's boiled by now. First off, there's nothing left. As I start getting closer, I swear I hear this grunting. And I'm like, what the fuck? And as I get closer, it's not burners. These are not Burning Man participants. These
What?
are fucking the hills have eyes people, they're wearing cowboy clothes and belt buckles and fucking they got their rusty pocket knife and they're cutting away at the head of the fucking pig. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Get the hell out of here. I'm scooping it into the garbage. You're gonna get sick. You can't eat this shit. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and then there was one year, one of the pigs. I remember some guys came up afterwards who were like, and it had because the skull was there, and he was
Yeah.
like, can I please, sir, can I have the skull?" And we're like,
Yeah.
"Sure, go ahead, take our boop away." And then I remember just like holding it above his head and like, parading around, like, "Look, we have the skull."
I'll never. Oh fuck, dude! One of the worst things I ever seen or saw was I was walking around and there was a camp that had laid black plastic down on the playa, and they were having a definitely a pagan ritual, and the 255-gallon drums they had were filled with blood, and
What?
it was fucking fucked up, dude. I was watching some bizarre shit. I was like, they've gone too far. They reach into the fucking 55-gallon drum all week long. Went back up all week long at this camp. I see two goats. I'm
Wait
like,
a minute, is you talking about the Aesthetic Meat Foundation?
no, no, this was it. This wasn't. I don't think it was them, but
Okay,
it might be once we figure out towards the end what they.
okay.
So they had a couple of goats that they were there. That was odd enough. Who fucking brings an animal? It's probably
This
not the
must have
best.
been early on, right? Like
It
the
was.
yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays you would never get away with. But so they brought a couple of goats and go, oh yeah, and they fucking like spray painted them like pink and purple or whatever. It was just hair dye. It was off. So late one night I'm walking by their camp and I fucking see this weird thing going on. And this dude reaches into this bloody barrel and he pulls out the goat's head. And the fur is gone. The eyeballs are staring at me. I'm like, so this is too fucked up. And I left and I was just disgusted. And so I came back the next day and I go, hey, I don't think that was right. And they go, what'd you think? And I go, it's fucked up. And they go, yeah, it's all fake. And I go, what? And they introduced me in Leo, the fucking goats. They never touched them. They
Ah,
one of the guys works at a butcher company. He brought the head. The blood was just water and fucking red dye. It was all a
ah,
fucking show, and I'm like, you guys had me good. I thought I watched a fucking animal sacrifice going on.
yeah, yeah. I've seen a couple of things kind of similar to that. There's one walking along the Esplanade, and there was like it looked like a person in either like latex or leather, like a full body suit, but like in some sort of like tied up in some contorted like kind of position, and I remember it was kind of bizarre, it was like out on the playa, and so me and my brother we go over and look at it, and this guy kind of like walks over and he's just like, it's like, oh yeah, no, don't worry, it's okay. And we're like, what's going on? It's just like, yeah, no, she's okay, we're keeping an eye on her, we're just like, oh, it must be pretty hot in there. And they're like, yeah, it's a safe word, whatever. It's like, and he leans over and it's like, ah, she's still breathing, and we're just like, okay, this is really weird, and then we're starting to get like worried, like, are you sure? Is she okay? Like, this isn't like I'm hot just standing here, like it's like in leather and like in this weird contorted position, and it's like, yeah, we give her like a little bit of water every few hours or so, and we're like, what?
2 hours.
Yeah, yeah, and then like after like 10 minutes of it, like we're kind of like, oh, I don't know, man, this isn't right, like the guy finally was just like, oh no. This is a doll. This is not a real person. I think they actually had like a little like bellows thing so you could kind of see other. So look, she's breathing, and you can see it like
Yeah, that's all. That's people do some crazy shit. I saved some people last year when the rains hit. There was a bouncy camp. They had four bouncy houses,
uh
and when the rains hit, they deflated them. And then at some point, some people came by and had inflated it again, and then started jumping around there. And it was the rains had stopped, but everything was all muddy. And then somebody turned it off, and it started deflating. And they thought it would be funny to stay inside of it as it was deflating.
oh, and
I'm watching.
suffocate.
Yeah, I'm watching from my fucking camper, just watching spectators, and I'm looking at them going, those guys are, that's probably not a good idea. And before you
Wow.
know it, you hear that fucking help, help. And all three of them are stuck inside there. They would have suffocated in there if I hadn't gone over there and opened that fucking thing up and got them out of there. They would have
Wow.
been found. Yeah, some people do some stupid stuff. That's
Yeah.
on the back of your ticket, though.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's always kind of been that way, right? I mean, it's like you do
Yeah.
risk the death and an injury. I mean, can't send off all those hedges. You
Nope, safety third.
Yeah. So what impact do you see like overall like Burning Man on your life? Even now looking at it, it's like, oh, maybe you might not go like maybe you'll take a year off, like, go like hike, the Rockies or something or whatever, like
That's funny because I actually, my goal is to do an even 30. I'm quite content not going next year, but I've always had a dream of hiking a part of the Pacific Crest Trail. I'm an avid
ah,
backpacker, and I would think picking one of the best parts of the Pacific Crest Trail and hiking it would be kind of nice. So that's part of me. I also want to buy a sailboat and sail to Mexico. My little home away from home is San Pancho, Mexico. This
oh
is a
really?
Yeah. You wouldn't believe how many fucking burners I met down there.
Really?
I'd be wearing something Burning Man, and I'd literally run into somebody wearing something I printed. There's DPW gay rangers down in San Pancho, Mexico.
Is that Baja? What part of Mexico is
No,
that?
that's north of Puerto Vallarta, about an hour near Sayulita.
Ah, okay.
A lot of burners down there. They actually have a burn down there called the Lady Coconut Burn. YouTube it. It's
Huh.
similar to what you guys do on the beach, which to me is
Wow. Haven't done
would
that in
be.
a long time, but yeah.
I think that what a better place to do Burning Man than at a beach where you can swim and watch dolphins.
Yeah.
Why go to the moon?
Yeah. No, that was the day, like, oh my God, like back in the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, 2004, when we had these like beach burns on the west side of Oahu at this place called Makua. And oh yeah, the dolphins would swim by in the morning. You can go swim out with the dolphins. I mean, it
Can you
was
do that now?
gorgeous.
Would you be able to throw an event out there now?
Oh no, 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 no. Like everything's different now. Like, but also like that, well, that whole area. It was like this valley and then the road and then like the road kind of cuts off the beach from the valley, right? And the valley is actually like a live fire training area for the army. So there's just this like little strip of like beach that you can kind of camp there, but it's not really legal to camp there. I think it's, you could use it during the day, and Hawaii has these kind of weird rules. Like if you're fishing, you can kind of be there at night, but you can't set up a tent and blah blah
All
blah.
right.
But like, but a lot of people would just, it was kind of the country, so it's like, it ain't illegal if you don't get caught kind of thing,
Yeah.
like, it's like if you go like in a small enough numbers and don't make much of a fuss, then you could do it forever. And, it's like we did it for a couple of years, just like 30 to 60 people, no power, just acoustic, just do beach cleanups. And, whatever we would burn, like we would have like magnets and screens, and we'd clean up like other people's like burn pits and stuff. And
Yeah,
it was
do it right.
awesome. It was just at the point when like there are other outside people who are like the DJs came in and we're like, no, 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 we want to bring like generators and the music. And then it was like a couple of hundred people, and then that's when the authorities kind of found out about it. We're just like, oh no, you will not be doing that there.
So let me ask you, you went 11 years without going, was that it? About 11?
Uh, no, I think it was 13 actually, because I think 2011 was the last year, right? And then yeah, because that was the year I did core. That was like kind of like my final project. And then because yeah, my son was about what, 3 years old then or something. Now he's about like 16 and a half. But yeah, so I went this year, 2024,
What
stayed,
was what was the biggest difference? I have no concept of it because I haven't missed a year. Excuse me, but what was the biggest difference that you found when you arrived and you left and you walked away and you go, wow, this is what was the biggest impact that left you?
well, because I've been following like everything as the years go by, and then just like, and like you said, it's like a lot of the stuff you see, especially on social media. It's like you see like the Instagram models, and you see like the glitzy pictures, and you get the stuff that's the stories that are kind of like pumped to you, but I don't know, it's like the little stories. It's kind of like what you're telling me tonight about like the human stories like that. That's what's more realistic and real, but definitely the size was different. There's definitely like more people, although honestly, I think I kind of missed this interesting window, like between 2012 and 2023. I think like Burning Man went to, what, almost like upper 80s, like almost 90,000 people or something. Like a lot of like money came in, a lot of .com, like, billionaire like money, like big RVs, big camps, like, pay for play. Like there's this whole like that, and then like kind of like that wave kind of came and then kind of crested, you know.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what happened. I think the
So
heat.
this year, yeah, it was kind of, so I was like, oh, it's not that much different than what I thought.
I think you're right. It went down. It probably went down to possibly the size where you were at, or maybe a little bigger.
Little
But
lot bigger, yeah.
that first heat wave that came the year before the rains,
Hmm.
that was brutal. Even I had a hard. I love the heat, but even I had a hard time. And then fuck, the next year we get the rains and then the 2 years off, and that was I'm sure that was a big hit for the org to take.
How hot was that year? That was what, 22, right?
I would say it was in the hundreds, and that means it's 110, anywhere else. It's 100 in the shade, and that's unbearable. A few degrees more, it would have been horrible. Doesn't sound bad, but when you're just sitting there and you don't have AC, and even then all the ACs were going down because people were overusing them, and it was brutal.
Yeah. No, I remember being out there sometimes when it was like 105, 110, but it wasn't, it would kind of spike and hit that high and then kind of go back down, but or even at night, it's like, oh, it'll be 95 degrees, like at night, like,
Yeah,
oh, it's
yeah,
like sweltering. Yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, there's subtle differences. Like I talked on a couple other shows, but like not many different things. Like definitely a lot less smokers, like cigarette smokers.
yeah. Well,
Don't
that's
see,
that's because the vape came out.
yeah. Yeah, a lot
I,
more.
you know what? I remember going for years. It was fucking weird. I'd go to Burning Man and I'd stop by the gas station on the way and I'd buy 2 packs of Marlboro Lights because I'm fucking smoking those while I'm at Burning Man. And I don't fucking smoke. But at Burning Man, I'm smoking fucking cigarettes.
Yeah, no, Burning Man is kind of still like one of the I find like the last bastions of like the few smokers that are actually left. But even this year, like, because I haven't smoked a cigarette in like what 7, 10 years. I can't even remember anymore. But I actually brought like I was like I'm gonna bring a carton of cigarettes and that's gonna be my thing. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna give out cigarettes to everybody. And then my brother was like, a carton's kind of expensive. He's like, you sure you want to do that? And I was like, okay, I'll just bring like 3 packs. And so I brought 3 packs and then I put on the bar of our camp and for like 2, 3 days it wasn't touched at all. And I
Wow.
was like, what the hell? And so like I wrote on it, it's like free, please smoke
Yeah,
me,
right.
like yeah. And then like another day went by, still nothing, and I was like, and then like this one guy, like the one guy who's in the camp who was just smoking, and I was like, you can smoke those. He was like, really? Like, but they eventually did go. Like everything at Burning Man, like towards the end of the week, by like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, people start like running out of whatever. They're just like, oh, you got the American Spirit lights, like.
Yeah. I've often said, it's all love and peace for the week, and then on Saturday and Sunday everybody's offloading their food, going
Yeah.
home. But and everybody's probably going, "This is beautiful. This is awesome. Life should be like this." And I would probably give it about 3 weeks, and then it would be mass anarchy. Even me, I'd be in my camp and I go, Bill, you've been coming in here every fucking day, done a damn thing. You leave your moop everywhere. You think you can help out a little bit and I'll let you have another steak or some more beer. And then, no, you got to go. And before you know, you can't give shit out anymore because you got to keep it for yourself. And anarchy would just take over.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it works as a temporary city,
Yeah.
it's like in like Danger Ranger made that line, he drew that line in 1990 and everybody crossed over and it's the default world is on one side and this new magical realms on the other. But yeah, it's I guess it doesn't last, it's ephemeral. I mean, by design, it's like they burned the man so you could build it and burn it again the next year, right?
Surprisingly, though, I think it stays with you. For instance, since the first time I went, um, I conduct my life differently. It's the gifting economy. I don't know how many thousands of shirts I must have given away. Probably a bad idea, but you know, and just being positive and not negative and cleaning up after yourself. And you look at the party, the festival, the event that we have, and you'd be tough to see where we left it. And you go to another big event like Coachella, and they're spending a week cleaning up that place, and nobody even cares. It's a completely different mentality, and I'm hoping I see that again this year when I go, and kind of get that feeling of when I first went, and I've been chasing the dragon ever since. And I
Yeah.
I actually found the dragon this year. It was awesome.
Well, no, it's kind of interesting, like what you're talking about, like bringing like a newbie or someone for the first time, and then kind of living vicariously. So, I don't know. Like I said, like chasing that dragon. It's like you've been doing it 30 years, and it's like you don't quite get the same hit. The same thing, but it's like, oh, if somebody new come in, like I don't know. It's interesting. Now next year you're trying a new thing. It's like, oh yeah, well. Yeah, I mean, but definitely you're gonna have to come by and hang out with us too. Like, don't be a stranger.
No, I'll come find you. My thing with
And you have
everybody,
your car too, right?
what's that?
You have your car too.
Yeah, I have Trixie, the pink fur car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Trixie, and I'll have her again. And then I'm gonna make. I don't know if I showed you the picture that I might have sent over to you. Playa Pete does not exist.
Oh yeah.
So I stole that from Larry Harvey. That sign was above his door as you walked into his office 29 years ago. And every time I walked in and I looked at that sign, I thought, that's just fucking funny. So I made a shirt and it said, Larry Harvey does not exist. I made 500 of those, gave them all away. Only a certain amount of people, know what that means. And they thought it was hilarious. And then probably the fucking claim to fame on that shirt is one day we picked up in the Monaco, the first camp, and Larry was on board and I was wearing the shirt, and I have a picture of me and Larry, me wearing the shirt with a big smile on his face. I've never made the shirt since. I don't think it's funny anymore, but
Well, yeah.
I guarantee you Larry would. So I took that slogan and I turned it into Playa Pete doesn't exist. And if you come find me this year in my little hidden soiree camp, I'm going to give you a shirt. Playa Pete doesn't exist.
Wow, awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. This has been awesome. Uh
Hey, are you sure? I got like fucking 3 more burn barrels in front of BMRR to burn through if you want.
well, I might have to come back for like Playa Pete like version 2, there's definitely more time for more stories, but it's getting late here now. But thank you so much. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, rate, and review it on Apple Podcasts. It just helps to get this show seen. Please tell a friend and help to spread the word. If there's enough support, we can do a lot more of these shows and publish more shows per month. If you would like to contact us about being a guest, what you think about the show, or whatever, please send an email to shadowofthemanpodcast, that's all one word, at gmail.com. You can also follow Shadow of the Man on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. The links for these pages are all available on the front page of shadowoftheman, all one word, .com. See you next month for a new episode of The Shadow of the Man.
Thank you for listening to this latest show. We have to make another one, so gotta go. Don't worry, for next month we already have one in the can. Very soon you'll be listening to a new Shadow of the Man.